So I think in a free country, in a free society, people should be able to use whatever they want
Hmm.
to exchange their goods and services, whether that's seashells or wampum or tobacco or
Yeah.
shiny rocks like gold or silver or some government issued piece of paper. We should be able to use what we want to privacy. And this violates that right in the digital world.
Mm.
So tax policy is really important as we're talking about these big things like creating a strategic Bitcoin reserve, or how do we
Yeah.
extend dollar dominance by using this strategic asset to create and protect the value of the dollar for the next generation. We can't leave out tax policy.
Right.
It's just as important because of that right to privacy.
Right.
And this is where that is infringed on.
Well, I've definitely heard of proposals that would make a certain threshold
A
untaxable,
de
essentially.
minimis.
Yes, yes. Cynthia Lummis, I think, was asking for what that amount should be at one of the conferences
Yeah.
I went to. She was looking for feedback. Some countries have, I think, $10,000, after which it is subject to the capital gains. So I'm curious if we'll end up getting that. But doesn't it sort of contradict? Like, if we use it as a medium of exchange, wouldn't it then threaten the dollar? But you say that Bitcoin could actually extend dollar dominance. So how does that work?
I think a de minimis was always a compromise. There's been several pieces of legislation over many years, um, you're trying to get a de minimis exemption for Bitcoin because again, it really comes back to that fundamental, that right to privacy.
Hmm.
We should not be required to give all of this transaction data over to the
Hmm.
U.S. government. And even if there is a de minimis provision, you still have to track all that because you have to make sure you're below the de minimis. So we didn't
It's tough.
achieve we didn't achieve that goal.
Hmm.
But I don't think in any way, shape, or form Bitcoin does compete with the US dollar. I don't think that's a helpful conversation or argument to put forward. We've seen Bitcoin and fiat currencies coexist for 15 years now. It
Sure.
doesn't have to be one or the other. I'm a free market maximalist. I know we have a lot of Bitcoin maxis that are probably listening to this. But you know what the core one of the core things of the Bitcoin ethos is free market capitalism.
Right.
People should be able to
To
choose,
decide.
which
Yeah.
means you have to have options.
Okay.
So you can have a government sponsored medium of exchange that you pay your taxes in, that you do all sorts of things
Hmm.
in. But that doesn't mean that there should be a monopoly on that.
Right. Okay, I totally get your vision. Before we start to wrap up, I do want to ask you about God Bless Bitcoin, because we had the chance to be part of this project together. You're one of the leaders with Brian and Kelly Estes behind the scenes. So just tell me a little bit about that, because I feel like right now, as the bull market gets going, 100K, a lot of people are now paying attention to Bitcoin. And I think that that is one of the best orange pill introductory, like, here's what Bitcoin is all about and the problem it fixes.
Well, I'll tell you why I was so excited to join as one of the executive producers of God Bless Bitcoin. And my work, working in public policy and advocacy, one of the challenges we've always had is just education. People don't understand it. And so many people's first impression of Bitcoin came through something bad.
Yeah.
What they heard on MSNBC maybe yesterday, or maybe they were a victim of ransomware. My uncle's business was a ransomware
Oh,
victim.
no.
And that's how he first heard about Bitcoin. He's like, Bitcoin, what are you doing with Bitcoin? Like, not a great
Yeah.
introduction. So despite kind of that, most people's first interaction today, might be that it was something negative.
Yeah.
It's really hard to turn first impressions around.
Mhm.
And we really didn't have a great resource that made the moral case for Bitcoin. It is my personal view that Bitcoin is the most moral and ethical form of money that's available to humanity today. But who's to say what is moral or what is ethical? So we look to scriptures, because in so many communities around the world, it's typically religion, whatever their religion is, that kind of sets the boundaries of what is right and what is wrong. So God Bless Bitcoin is not promoting any specific religion. We studied all the world's major religions over a 2-year time period. We talked to scholars and experts who had studied these sacred texts and what they said about money. And then we took that and we juxtapose what do scriptures of different religions say about money, and juxtapose that to Bitcoin to show that this is a moral form of money.